What is up, Endgame family? Welcome Monday night edition of Endgame Live. We have a pair of games tonight for reasons I still can't explain. Two Monday night games that seem to overlap with each other. So I know you want to get to watching those games. We're going to be here up until at least kickoff of the first game, maybe a little longer, to answer your questions. You might still have a lot of players in your lineups, or maybe even start sit decisions because I think there could actually be a lot of fancy points in this pair of primetime games. We'll see. We had quite a few booms just on the first game alone, so we actually want to go watch those games too. But we're going to answer your questions like we always do, and you may notice that we have now become a threesome. No, that doesn't sound right. We have a triple box for you. We have a triple box. One of our OGs, one of the members of our Discord. If you're in the Discord, then you already know him as the Weather Beast, and he answers questions just as well, if not better, half the time than we do. And that is Keith, one of the original Endgame viewers, members, and I'm just going to call it just Keith, Lord of the Discord. How about that?
Lord of the Discord. That's a nice little title we got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say, just been in the Discord group for a long time, pretty much since the Endgame was pretty much first established, and yeah, just figured I'd come on here and see what the big boys play and answer some questions and see how this goes. Join the big boys out here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So quickly, for those maybe they're not in the Discord or don't know, we have to give our origin story at least once a year. So how long you been playing fantasy? What got you into it? What do we need to know about you? And of course, everyone wants to know your rooting interest.
So I've been doing fantasy for a little over 10 years now. Pretty much just kind of got into it through a basic work league. I feel like that's how most people get into it. But yeah, I've been doing fantasy for about 10 years now. I've been doing it heavily, competitively for about 5. Started doing Dynasty about 4 years ago. Become obsessed with it, love it. Tend to share my opinions. I think my sharing and discussing matchups kind of helps myself and also helps kind of everybody. Like good discussion, good intelligent discussion helps sharpens the mind, helps sharpens our play. So that is why I'm here. And rooting, sorry Pierre, but it's the Patriots. I'm a homeboy, so it's got to be them, but we don't have so much to cheer for these days. It's sad up here.
Yeah, after 2 decades, absolutely nobody feels sorry for the Patriots fans these days. Sorry, not sorry, but I get it. But still, we remain cordial despite being rivals. So yeah, that's good stuff, Keith. Again, I love what you said as far as the intellectual discussion. It's not about takes and being right. It's about let's actually talk about this and see what makes sense. And we're there to help each other. But just know, anybody who's not yet and you're about to join Discord, no opponent listed, no help. That's still a thing, right?
At least for me, yes.
I will say tonight you might have to forgo that because most people don't list the opponents when they ask their questions.
I've got things on screen here, so we're all set.
All right, good. Yeah, I did drop the Discord link. I said go in there, ask Keith all your questions. but I did put in there in parentheses, just make sure you list the matchup. Like make sure you list. That's a requirement. No matchup, no answer.
Yeah, if I got to go flipping through 2 or 3 screens to help you, I do have things to do. Fantasy can't be my all-consuming life, at least not yet.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
There you go. We'll do that. So we're going to now have 3 of us to answer the questions. We're going to go through, of course, all your member questions. We got some of our guys already lined up here. If you drop a super chat, guaranteed we'll answer it. We'll answer as many of the regular chats as possible too. Before the games start, want to know your chances of winning? We'll give you the real. All right, we're not going to sugarcoat it for you. We'll tell you what we think, and we'll go around the horn and tell you our opinions. I also want to remind you that you still have a little bit of time before the game starts. It's the second game for whatever reason. Arizona is going to play Kyler Murray. All right, sure, maybe you don't love starting him in your fantasy lineup these days, but you got to at least take this. 1 yard. I know he can get you 1 yard. Take the higher, 0.5 total yards. This is a free pick you get on Underdog if you're signing up for the first time. So go to Underdog. If you haven't for some reason done this already, get the app. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. You sign up using promo code ENDGAME. It gets you this free pick. It's Kyler Murray just getting a yard. And you get that along with your deposit match all the way up to $1,000 worth of bonus cash if you do right now. Use that promo code. And don't forget, it's still Boostober, which means profit boost tokens for you every day until the month ends. So it's still a really good time to take advantage of that. And we still have an app as well. It's called Draft Lane. If you haven't tried it yet, it's a free download. Go to the App Store or Play Store. You can get in touch directly with us. Ask all your same questions. So maybe you got questions that you didn't think of today, or something pops up tomorrow, the next day. Maybe you just feel more comfortable asking it offline as opposed to on the live stream. No problem. Whatever it is, get in touch with us. You can also sync your Yahoo and Sleeper leagues on the Draft Lane app. See your league's history. We can see your league and your waivers and your rosters, and it's actually very helpful for us to really give you more personalized recommendations. So there's a little added benefit too. Still no opponents though. Now that I think about it, now we got Keith here. Maybe that's something we'll add in the future. Is we can see next week's opponent. That would even be better, right? For start-sit matchups.
That would be yes. And real quick, I know Keith usually dropping news in the Discord, but Keith, we just got some big news. I don't know. I know I was caught off guard yesterday by the Deebo Samuel illness, where he only played 3 snaps. I didn't even know he was dealing with an illness.
Yeah, that dropped like an hour before game time. That was not cool. And it's rare to see a player just miss an entire game due to an illness. Like, what was it?
Well, we know
cold, but
we know why now. Apparently, Deebo Samuel has pneumonia and he is in the hospital. This just dropped a minute ago.
Ooh.
So we'll see what happens for this week. But yeah, that was the one that came out of nowhere. I was like, Deebo Samuel not playing, like illness, like what?
That somehow the offense is supposed to be one of the best in the league. It's just become like big jumbled mess and a big headache. Yeah, I even said too. Ayuk. Okay, well Ayuk. Yeah, we know that news. He's out. Like he's done. So at least Chris, you can officially not worry about whether you have to start him or not anymore. You just don't have to think about it. But like, who do you recommend now? I mean, Deebo. Okay, sure, but Juwan Jennings season, maybe. Like Ricky Pearsall, is he going to be a thing? I think I saw Jacob Cowing catch a long pass. It's like, what do we do? I mean, Keith, let me ask you, what's your take on this offense now, this passing offense, based on what you see now? Are we chasing those guys or leaving them alone?
I will chase Jennings where he's available. At this point, if you've got a number 1 waiver claim, I would go get him if at all possible, if you're hurting at wide receiver. We've seen what Jennings can do. We've seen him drop 30-point monster games. And I don't think there's any injury, handcuff, or combo that's going to give you the upside that Jennings brings to the table. Sure, Pearsall could interrupt that, but he's a rookie. We really don't know what we're getting into. He's missed time after getting shot. He's definitely got that dog in him, though, for coming back so fast. Cowling hasn't looked all that impressive. I'm content to leave him in all but the deepest of leagues.
Makes sense. So we have to be back in on Jennings. Of course, everyone who picked him up and then dropped him is now scrambling to pick him back up. That's just kind of the way the season has gone, isn't it?
Right.
All right. I want to ask. This is technically a question from one of our people here, a member, but this kind of talks about what we saw yesterday as well. Alex B, how about them Steelers? Are George Pickens, I guess he has been unlocked. Has he been unlocked? Is this what it took? I mean, really? Is George Pickens now like, okay, Russ is in there, we got to start?
Yeah, I think you got to at least feel good about George Pickens. He's on the lessons video that will drop tonight after the game. I'm not ready to go all in on George Pickens yet, but I certainly feel much better about him. I think what I like for George Pickens with Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson's not afraid to throw those deep balls and say, go make a play, right? Like Justin Fields isn't going to do that. But Russell Wilson's like, hey, you're not open. That's fine. I'm just going to chuck it up a million miles in the air and let you jump up and get it. And that at least will be good for George Pickens. So I think we at least got to be like in on him a little bit more, if not much more.
Yeah, I agree. Russ did not look cooked last night at all. In fact, I dare say that may have been one of his best games he's had in years, and it was against the Jets. Hard to say no to Pickens right now at this point, especially now with I was going to say with Ayuk on the shelf. We've got a few other injuries we've got to get to as well. DK Metcalf, he may be out too. Pickens is a good start for me. I don't know if I'm ready to call him solid, but at least good for the time being.
Yeah, there's always going to be that boom bust element. We know this. That's just the nature of really the receiver position in general. There's not too many receivers that won't have those duds, those busts, but especially a guy like Pickens. But yeah, I think the thing with Fields, it's kind of odd. I figured that Fields might have been good for Pickens because the two things we knew that Fields had working in his advantage was, of course, his running ability, but then also his arm strength. He can get it down the field, and we saw him do that, connect with guys like DJ Moore down the field. That's not his weakness. But I feel like he was so afraid to turn the ball over so that he didn't make those mistakes, so he kept his job, basically, is that he was being almost too conservative as a passer. And it wasn't playing to his strengths necessarily. I feel like it's just not a good fit in this system for him. But it doesn't matter now because Russ got the job. So how about the Steelers? I mean, look, props to Mike Tomlin. He somehow finds a way to win with whatever he's got somehow, at least to be competitive. And, after seeing some of the things that former players that he's had to deal with over the years have dealt with, have been what they've become. It's like, how did he even survive the NFL dealing with those guys on the same roster? But let's not go backwards there. Let us also talk about one more thing that I have to say is significant. Deshaun Watson is done. No tears. No tears from the bottom screen here. No tears anywhere. But Keith, aside from the karma aspect of this, do you have some optimism now for the Cleveland offense in general?
Potentially. Problem is Cleveland has to make the right decision here. The right decision, at least for a fantasy perspective, would be we see Jameis Winston. Are we going to see that? They're 1-6. My thinking is if the Browns at 1-6, they're probably not going to be making the playoffs. When they're officially eliminated, they'll probably get. I don't want to say probably, but they could go to Dorian Thompson-Robinson and see what they have there in the rookie. With Jameis, he's under a 1-year contract. I think he'd be good if you were actually competing. If the Browns weren't a complete disappointment on all aspects, on offense, defense, special teams. If Jameis gets the start, I think we see a lot. Like Njoku becomes pretty much a must-start tight end. Judy's always going to be Judy, and Cedric Tillman becomes an interesting little name. But as far as, when it comes to Jameis, though, I think he's the guy I'd want to have in fantasy, but I don't know if the Browns are going to stick with him just because they're 1-6. The year is, for the most part, lost. Hard to see them making the playoffs. They'd have to win out essentially in order to make the playoffs. Maybe they can lose one more. If they lose 2 more, they've got no shot. So I think at that point they move on with DTR.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's probably going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I mean, he was the guy who was the backup. Jameis was only the emergency QB, and they actually needed him because Robinson got hurt in that game. But I think I'm still in. Even with DTR, because you look at even in the third quarter with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I mean, Njoku had I guess he wasn't that good in the third quarter. 2 for 15, 2 for 12. Yeah, I mean certainly Jameis would be better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but I think even Dorian Thompson-Robinson is better than Deshaun Watson, honestly, for fantasy. It was weird though. The guy who seemed to like not benefit was Jerry Jeudy. Like it was like Jerry Jeudy did not benefit at all. It was Njoku and Tillman. So I think even with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, they become startable. Like I think Njoku, at least for a tight end, becomes startable, and I think Tillman becomes flex worthy. But certainly it would be better if Jameis was playing.
Yeah, that's the hope, and that's why I had to mention that, because you would just assume everybody's like, oh, it's Jameis time. That's what we think, and that's what we want, but it doesn't mean it'll happen. You know, Kevin Stefanski has his own odd ideas, and like you said, DTR was the backup. I mean, I feel like we have seen enough of him, especially including yesterday, but they might not think so. So I still would say Cedric Tillman is worth adding. That's why I put him on the waiver wire video, because there's so many vacated targets, and so much of the target share was left by Amari Cooper. There's still enough, no matter who's at quarterback, to make him somewhat relevant. Of course, David Njoku benefits. It's just really hope that's Jameis Winston. All right. Let's get to your questions, guys. Talk about a former Brown, Kareem Hunt. Other John wants to know, does he have to be a solid start the rest of the season? Chris, what do you think?
He has to be. He has to be. Like he actually looks somewhat good. Like he looks much better than he looked last year in Cleveland. And I think maybe it's not surprising because all the wide receivers are hurt, but when the Chiefs get near the goal line, they just become this run-heavy team now, right? They just run the football. So this guy's got touchdown upside every single week. He's getting touches in this offense. I think he has to be.
I agree. Hunt, there's just no competition in his backfield. It's all him. And we're seeing the Chiefs really kind of become this defensive powerhouse and letting Hunt just grind down the clock. We're not seeing any competition from Samaje Perine. We're not seeing any competition from Carson Steele. Nothing from Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't even seen the field yet. This backfield is all Kareem Hunt until Pacheco comes back. When that happens, so rest of the season he's not great. But while you have him, lock him in as a solid start until then.
Based on volume, I think you have to. It's just the way this offense looks now. It's not what we expected, but apparently it's working. At this point, can we really doubt anything that Andy Reid does? Whatever he's doing, it somehow works. I don't even know how. I'm just not going to question it. Let's now get to tonight questions. So kicking it off is Juice 420. Down by 8, the opponent has Dicker the Kicker. He has Kyler and Harrison or McConkey. Well, I would really hope that you would need either one of those guys. Kyler should do it by himself, but you never know. So let's take our pick here, Harrison or McConkey, and adding into the fact McConkey was questionable throughout the week on the injury report. Keith, who you got here for him?
I got to go. If you're talking points, we got to go MHJ. The secondary for the Chargers is banged up. They don't have Asante Samuel right now. This could turn into a pass funnel defense for the Chargers. If Kyler is on his A game, he could exploit. But if Kyler does have one of these brain fart type of moments, which we've seen him have lately, I think he should still have the victory in the bag. But honestly, like if I'm down by this little, I may just go Kyler and McConkey just to not have to be tied down with Kyler should he fall or should he not be good tonight. But yeah, we're talking from a pure point perspective, Kyler and MHJ for sure.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to go. I mean, I know the answer. That's what I always say on the streams is the answer like should be Marvin Harrison. But I might just go McConkey just because Marvin Harrison has had those games where he disappears kind of and doesn't really give you a lot. Whereas McConkey, I feel like, you're only down 8 with the kicker. So unless unless the Chargers kick 4 or 5 field goals tonight and the kicker gets like 20, let's assume that's not going to happen. You never know. Let's assume not. I just want to know that I'm going to get some points. Like you said, Keith, like I don't want to put Kyler and Harrison out there and then Kyler have lay like a total egg, and then therefore Marvin Harrison also lay a total egg. So I'm going to kind of hedge my bet here and go Kyler and Ladd. But yeah, I think you're fine either way also, though.
The downside of stacks here, potentially.
Right. If you needed the upside, like if you were down 20 or something like that and you needed the upside, I'd be like, yeah, just roll with Kyler and Harrison and hope they go off. But I think here, hedge your bet.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever people just throw out that term or think of a stack, it always is like I get more points if they both go off, and it doesn't actually work that way. Like you don't get a bonus or anything. But even besides that, people seem to forget that it could work the other way. You could have the stack that did nothing for you, and then you're double down. But
Right.
I really think if Vlad is good to go, which I'm trying to look, I haven't seen anything updated here. I'm not digging through the news right now while we're streaming, but if McConkey plays, I like him. I picked him potentially to boom. Quentin Johnson's out. Vlad McConkey has become the number one receiver here anyways. So I think if Vlad plays, I'm going to play him because he gives me that floor, which shockingly Marvin Harrison has not given us. Let's do Jake the Snake. A little bigger hill to climb. Needs 33 points to win, but got Baker, Connor, and Flowers left. Assuming this is PPR, Chris, what are the odds here?
I mean, you should feel pretty good. You're only asking for roughly, I can actually do the math on this one. You're only asking for 11 points from each of these guys, which not a big ask. Not a big ask here. So, I mean, look, it's fantasy. As we saw this weekend, you never know, right? There were so many. How many zeros? How many zeros were dropped by guys who were like, pretty close to lineup locks, or at least guys that are in most lineups. So you never know. But I feel like your chances are very, very good tonight, Jim.
Yeah, I don't see Baker scoring less than 15 tonight. Flowers should be an easy 10, 15 points as long as Connor doesn't get hurt or lay an egg on you. Should be in good shape.
Yeah.
Unforgiven.
By the way, Keith, do you have dogs? No, I wish I could, but I am very, very allergic to dogs. That would be a no-go. But if I see one, I can't help but pet him. It's just one of my things, even though it's bad for my nose.
Wouldn't be an end game stream without the dogs. So
never. Great advice, taking Dell out and Higgins in. Yeah, take Dell. What happened there? Anyways, 7-0. Like that. Even hit a few bets. Nice. Okay, nice. So we're winning on both ends. That's even better. For always cracking me up. Got Olave and waivers. And I love those families. All right.
Yeah.
So this is a celebration. It's like Rick James would say. All right, HM. 50-point lead with Henry left. But going against, basically your opponent has all his team left. Baker, Dobbins, Flowers, and McBride. I don't even know. What side you taking here, Keith?
Dicey. If it's PPR, I think I'd be sweating a little bit. Henry, we've seen kind of be game script dependent, so this could potentially not be a big Henry game. Bucks typically good at stopping the run. Bucks also good at putting up points. This may be an air attack, and if it's an air attack game, Henry's not going to be putting up a ton of points. So, yeah, I was going to say you should be nervous, but I was going to say cross fingers, hope it turns out for you. But yeah, Baker, Dobbins, Flowers, and McBride, 50-point lead plus Henry. Yeah, that's 12.5 points on it. Honestly, I think I call this a coin flip. 50 points is nice, but I think you get 50 out of everybody you're going against, which leaves I'd say 60 out of those guys. Henry, maybe 10. If he puts up less than 10, it's a disappointment, but I could see that happening tonight.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think this is going to be close. I think if I had to bet, like if somebody forced me to bet, I would take your side because, like you said, Keith, I mean, yeah, I mean the ceiling here for these four guys is what, maybe like 70 if they all have big games. So that means Henry needs to get you 20. But I mean, assume like one or two of them might not have big games tonight, right? And then now they might only combine for 50, 60 points. And then you only need like 10 or so from Henry, which I think even in negative game script, Henry can get you 10, assuming he falls in the end zone one time, which he's done every week this year. So it's going to be a sweat. It's going to be a sweat. I'm going to give you the slight edge, but yeah, this is really close. Really close.
Yeah, I'll say being nervous. Yeah, that makes sense. You probably should be a little nervous, but I still think you got a good shot. And like even a bad game for Derrick Henry, he's still probably getting you double digits because I seriously think the man will score a touchdown in every single game this season. So we'll see. At least, hey, you got a lot to root for, I guess, against tonight. Daniel Marini, 8-man PPR, got Connor and Bigsby on the bench. Walker and Jones starting, was offered Pacheco for Connor. Worth it, Chris?
No, I just keep Connor here because, I was probably higher than anybody on Pacheco this offseason. But there's still not really a definitive timetable on his return. And as much as I want to believe that Pacheco is going to come back and just make Kareem Hunt irrelevant, I don't know if that's going to be the case because Kareem Hunt's actually been good. As even though that makes me gag a little bit to say it, it's true. He's actually been good. So, we may not have workhorse Pacheco when he comes back. We may have 60-40 Pacheco when he comes back, but that's not as good as he was before the injury when he was workhorse Pacheco. So Connor's still the workhorse here. I don't think maybe we start to see Benson as the season goes on, but it hasn't seemed that way so far. I'm just going to forego the risk and just keep Connor.
I agree with pretty much everything you said there. Why invite an injury and a timeshare in your lineup when you can prevent it? I would just keep Connor here for pretty much everything you just said, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm not going to actively trade for a player who is not close to returning from a serious injury. If it's dynasty, okay, that's a different story. Like I'm rebuilding, okay, fine. But redraft, there's no reason because this is like if you told me, okay, I can trade for Cooper Kupp a week ago, okay, fine, because I know he's coming back in 2 weeks. If you tell me right now I can still trade for CMC, that's still risky. And he's supposed to come back after the bye now. And even then, I'm like, only if I'm buying him. You're telling me about a guy I have no idea when he's coming back. Just the answer is just no. Like just no. Unless it's like somebody I picked up off a waiver wire a week ago and I don't care about. But still, it's just no reason to do this. Frosty is down 21, but has Godwin and whoever the Bucs kicker is. Should he be worried?
I mean, you always have to be worried, right? You always, because it's fantasy football. Like we know how this goes. We know on any given week. Like again, like if you started Deebo Samuel and you started Alvin Kamara or whatever, you probably were feeling good before the week, and then you got throttled. At the same time, you should be good tonight. This is a fantastic spot for Chris Godwin tonight, and he's been mostly great. I don't know anything about the Bucs kicker, but I'm sure the Bucs kicker can get you like 8 points. So that means Godwin only has to get you 13 in PPR, which I think he's only gone under 13 like twice, and he got like 11 and 12. So I like your chances tonight, definitely.
Yeah, as do I. I think Godwin is capable of hitting 21 on his own. I mean, hopefully I'm not jinxing that here, but Godwin should be good for at least, I'd say, 15 points, I'd say. Kicker's only got to make either a field goal and a couple extra points or 2 field goals, and you should have this iced.
Yep. It should be a big game for Godwin. Of course, that doesn't always happen. Touchdowns are the big difference maker here. But on the other hand, you can say, well, if he's not scoring touchdowns, unless it's all the other guys scoring touchdowns, maybe that means more field goals. But like if I had to bet it, I would say you probably have it, Frosty. But You never know. That's what makes it fun. It's a fun sweat. Just
Sometimes.
remember, just think of it that way. You're sweating in a fun way. Doesn't feel like that.
It's fun
Underdog.
it's fun until it's like 5 minutes ago in the fourth quarter, and Chris, you're down by half a point. And you're like, can the Bucs just get the ball back?
Yeah. It's not actually fun, but you're supposed to tell yourself that is. It's like the reaffirmation. Right. Wants to say thanks. And now just down to McBride and 8 points versus Godwin. What do you think? He's got it?
What do you think, Keith? He's got this one?
I'm assuming PPR here. 8-point lead versus Godwin versus against McBride. I think you're also in for a very nervous sweat here. I think this is going to be a coin flip. Pretty much, if I had to predict it, yeah, this is pretty much 50-50 for me.
Yeah, this is going to be close too because, again, I really like Godwin tonight. I think Godwin can have a huge game tonight. I like McBride too. I would like McBride more if Marvin Harrison wasn't playing, but I still like McBride tonight. You do have that 8-point lead, which helps. So I think, yeah, this is also going to be a sweat. But pull him for you for sure. Pull him for you.
Of course. Yeah. Let's go. Let's get it for you. However it has to break, we'll hope it breaks your way. Now this one, even if Godwin doesn't have a big game, Boomer, I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. You think Ladd outscores Godwin by just 39?
I don't think so. Is this going to be Boomer? Did you lose this week? Is this your first loss? What happened here?
It's got to happen. Got to happen to the best of them. Hey, I did call that as a boom. I don't know if I call that kind of a boom, but we'll see.
I mean, maybe if Godwin gets lost on the way to the stadium and never shows up, and then Ladd scores 39 points tonight, you can win.
There you go.
Yeah, 39 points. I just don't see that coming from Ladd tonight.
No.
All right. Well, we are still pulling for you, Boomer. Short season. Yep. Ayuk is out. Maybe. Well, it definitely should help Deebo. Let's see. Had 5 people go 20 plus. Only one who let me down was Reed. Still betting the starting Deebo. Well, that's true.
You know it's a bad week when Jaden Reed, who was a total bust, is like, oh, man, at least I played him and not Deebo.
Yeah. Now we got some Jags questions from Anthony Maldonado. I think this is a really interesting one. Curious your perspective. Keith, start with you. Anthony Maldonado wants to know, is it time to sell high on Brian Thomas now that he is top 10 receiver in the NFL because he needs a running back?
Oof. I would have said before this weekend, buy low would be Kareem Hunt. But I think the window on that is selling or shut. But Brian Thomas is sell high. I think I keep him. I mean, sure, he went off, but it was against the Patriots, and Christian Gonzalez was on him pretty much all game. If Brian Thomas can succeed there, I mean, sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's definitely better than Ridley. He's the focal point of this Jags offense. I'm not selling Brian Thomas unless I'm getting somebody really, really good. And yeah, a lot of running backs did fair. Maybe Connor will prove to be a buy low. I'm not buying Dobbins, I don't think. If anybody else.
Well, I'll give you some names. What about Brian Robinson?
Brian Robinson. I would buy Brian Robinson for Brian Thomas.
What about, I don't know if he's a buy low anymore, but what about Aaron Jones?
He always gets hurt. That NFC North is looking like a monster division with some good run defenses. I think I'd rather keep Thomas there.
What about Jacobs?
I think Brian Thomas is more upside.
What about Achane?
With Tua coming back? There we go. I think I'd trade for Achane.
All right, then one more. What about James Cook?
He kept coming off of it. Oh. I think I'm holding Brian Thomas even over James Cook. It's Josh Allen vulturing touchdowns. That's always going to limit James Cook's upside.
There you go. I think the one that, if you were doing this, and I'll just say generally, I don't feel like he's a sell high anymore. He's just to be thankful you have him because he was a great bargain where you drafted him. If you need a running back, though, okay, sure. I think Achane is the one that makes the most sense. We're going to see that Dolphins offense now back to what it rightfully should have been the whole time. And some of those others are solid options, too. But generally speaking, I think he's just legit. Cody
quick,
Greenwood.
Keith. Wait, hold on real quick, Keith. We're getting some. Try clicking down at the bottom where it says settings. And then go into audio, and there should be there's two things there, like echo cancellation and mic background noise. See if those are checked.
I just see mirror my camera and touch up my appearance.
You don't see an audio?
Oh, yep. Hang on. Cancellation. All right. That is on. Reduce mic background noise. I'll put that on too, just in case.
Much better. Much better. You sound much better now.
All right. Cool.
Get a little feedback.
There we go. Yeah, getting some feedback there. No problem. Sound good
now. Cody, getting close to 50. Needs 40, at least 48 between Godwin, Evans, and Kyler. What do you think? Good or no?
Yeah, I think this should happen. I mean, again, I like Godwin tonight. There's no reason why Godwin and Evans can't both have big games tonight. I mean, you got to think between Godwin and Evans, you're getting at least one touchdown, maybe two, against this Ravens secondary. So if Godwin Evans combine for, let's say, 30, which seems like their floor, you really just need 18 from Kyler, which, not a guarantee these days. But I don't think it's like in the bag for you. But if I had to pick a side, I'd pick your side.
Yeah, I think this is 60-40. I think the Kyler side should win as long as he doesn't lay an egg on you. I agree. Godwin and Evans should at least hit 30. They could hit more. They could clear 48 themselves potentially tonight. But yeah, Kyler definitely making me nervous, but I think you've got a good shot.
Yeah, this is going to be a close one again, but we'll see. We'll see. Kyler should at least put up enough points to get you through, Cody. So we'll see what happens. Leo Hilo got, Caleb, Mahomes, Sutton, Downsdale, Jason, Worthy, Kyron, JT Bigsby, Tracy, commit likely, some defense, some kicker. All right, wants to know, trade the Colts duo of JT and Downs for CeeDee Lamb. Does that help the team? Let's break this down. JT, I'm getting the feeling he might be back next week. Of course, we don't know for sure. Downs is going to be questionable and then play anyways. All right, so CeeDee coming off a bye. What does this team need more? It's got Kyron, it's going to be down to Bigsby as the RB2.
Yeah, but look at those wide receivers: Sutton, Downs, Dell, JSN, and Worthy. Like,
who's the number one receiver here? Tank Dell?
No, well, I mean, Sutton, Downs, and Dell this week. Actually, what did all these wide receivers combine for this week? Like 15 PPR points combined. Like Dell got 0, Sutton got 0, Downs got like 1.
1.4.
JSN got what, like 6 or 4 or something like that? Worthy got like 10.
I think you got to do this.
Yeah, you need CeeDee. You can roll with Bigsby as your RB2, and you can work the waiver wire. You already have been working the waiver wire, obviously, because you got Bigsby and Tracy. You can roll with Bigsby as your RB2 with Kyron. Kyron's already had his bye. CeeDee Lamb's already had his bye now. So I think you got to do this.
Yeah, and I'd say flip likely as well. And I mean, I don't know if this is super flex or not, but yeah, Mahomes, I would flip for another handcuff running back and hope one of them pans out for you. Yeah, this team needs some work. This team needs some work. But I was going to say, if you strike gold on a handcuff, you may be in good shape.
There you go. Keep working the waiver wire. Like I said, I don't think I don't think this is super flex. You don't need a second quarterback. Split Mahomes, drop likely. Just roll with the Bears and hope for the best. Carl, smash this week. All right, there you go. Let's keep smashing with the help of a tight end. Goddard may or may not play next week. Kraft actually scored a touchdown. Jonnu Smith, who somehow is now the second highest scoring tight end of week 7, just because. Why not? But he's asking rest of season. This is where it gets tricky. Chris, your favorite subject, backup tight ends.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what's okay, I get that it was like Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle again or whatever. But you're telling me you go into the bye week and you come out of the bye week and your plan is to get Jonnu Smith a 32% target share and just not throw the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Like, that's the plan you came up with during the bye week? Like, look, I like Mike McDaniel. I want him to be successful, but I'm starting to have my doubts here. Like, this is the plan, is give Jonnu Smith a 32% target share coming out of I
have a theory about that, though.
Okay, what's the theory?
As a Dolphin, all right, bear with me. And I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm not trying to give McDaniel credit, but this is, I think, what he's thinking. And this is why, believe it or not, so last week when we talked, on the waiver wire, I tried to give at least one quarterback to stream, not two, and a tight end. And I picked Jonnu Smith last week because here's my thinking. We know Tyler Huntley cannot throw the ball farther than 10, 15 yards, without it wobbling a little bit, right? We're not going to even pretend to try to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill where he can catch it. We're not going to even pretend that Jalen Waddle is going to, run a post route and catch it. Okay, just forget it. Let's play to our strength. Our strength is we can run the ball and we can throw really short passes across the middle of the field. So who are we going to use? The tight end, Jonnu Smith. They'll never see it coming. Right? They're not going to cover Jonnu Smith. They're going to cover Tyreek Hill. They're going to cover Jalen Waddle. And so I almost feel also, because I saw this on social, people were like, they don't even care that they were losing. The guys were just hanging out on the bench and they were laughing, whatever. I honestly feel like McDaniel was like, if we win, it's like a bonus. If not, whatever. I feel like he's almost giving them like veteran rest almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey guys, just, don't run so many yards on your routes. Just take it easy, right? You'll get a bone here or there. You get a target to make it look like you're involved, but we're just here's the game plan. Achane, Mostert, Jonnu Smith, try not to turn it over, hope the defense wins. I really think that's what his game plan was, which is why I figured I almost knew he was going to try to get Jonnu Smith involved, because that's what Tyler Huntley can do. He can find Jonnu Smith 5 yards down the field.
Well, he did. He definitely found Jonnu Smith. But okay, so what you're saying is he used the Arthur Smith School of Offensive Coaching in week 7. But now with Tua back, we're going to see Mike McDaniel again. We're going to see him unleash
40 points at least.
Well, if that's the case, then you got to put Jonnu Smith last here. I think I'm going Goddard first, Kraft second. I know Kraft scored, but man, he still was hardly involved outside of that touchdown. And that was an incredible throw by Jordan Love. I mean, that was just an unbelievable throw. I think I still like Goddard a little more than Kraft, so I'll go Goddard, Kraft, Jonnu.
I'm going Kraft, Goddard, Jonnu. I'm sorry, the Dolphins have been a historically bad offense. There was a stat I posted in the Discord where this offense was putting up, I think, an average of 11 points per game, which pretty much puts them at historically bad levels. They were worse than the winless Lions. Jonnu is an absolute trap. Let somebody else make that mistake of picking him up. Goddard and Kraft, though, the reason I'm higher on Kraft than Goddard really has only been good, really good, when we've seen no A.J. Brown and no Devonta Smith. In games where we've got Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith in there, I don't see Goddard being anything more than just your average blah tight end. And Kraft, no Musgrave, he's going to be involved a bit. I mean, sure, the wide receiver room is crowded for Green Bay, but I trust in Kraft a little bit more often than Goddard on a week-to-week basis. It's close between Kraft and Goddard, but I would take Kraft.
Agree with that. It is close, but I'm going to go Kraft first as well because Musgrave's out of the picture. And I just think Green Bay offense in general tends to target the tight end, especially in the red zone, more often than does Philadelphia. With those two receivers healthy, I think it barely will go Kraft due to more touchdown upside. All right, let's get to a non-tight end question. This is a good one now. DK Metcalf was one of the big injuries. They are saying it's not significant, but on the same hand, it could mean that he misses this week. So Alan Wendling wants to know, does JSN get more interesting if TK actually does miss? Chris is shaking his head vigorously.
I'm done here with JSN. I even put him like on the final video of the week was like, hey, it's a good matchup this week out of the slot. Maybe this is the week. Nothing. It does like no. What I think happens is they probably just run the ball more this week, and Geno Smith is probably just worse off because this passing offense has basically been chucking the ball down to DK Metcalf, some kind of underneath middle throws to Tyler Lockett, and then sprinkle in JSN every now and then. And now it's the Bills this week. Yeah, I think we just see a lot of Kenneth Walker, maybe even a lot of Zach Charbonnet out of the backfield, and I'm not falling for this JSN trap again.
Yeah, agreed. I haven't been big into JSN pretty much all year. His cost was too high for startups on for redraft leagues. He really hasn't impressed. He's pretty much in that same spot he was last year. With DK out, I mean, does that really interest me? Not like if it was a nice matchup, but he's getting the Bills. I think we're going to see a lot of running and a low-scoring game in that matchup.
It's been he's been one of the bigger disappointments to me this year. The opportunity is there. They're throwing the ball a ton, and he's not getting the kind of separation that he should. So this week, Chris, you said it's the Bills. It's not a good spot for him at all. No, not really. I mean, he's still a flex option because of target volume if DK's out, but not a great one. I mean, at this point, I think we got to say Tyler Lockett's more interesting because he at least is making the most of the targets he does get.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer Lockett this week if I had to choose, for sure.
That's what I.
Alexander's channel says he's got a 50-50 shot of winning. He's got to sit either Flowers, Evans, or Marvin Harrison. Well, I know which way I'm going here. Keith, which way are you going?
I'm benching Marvin Harrison. We've seen him drop zeros before. I don't think we're going to get zeros out of Mike Evans or Flowers. Yeah, Marvin has far more risk out of any of these guys, so he's on the bench.
Agree. Definitely benching Marvin Harrison here. I mean, that Ravens-Bucks game, you never know, but it has the makings of being an absolute pass-heavy shootout. So I want those wide receivers in that game for sure.
Definitely. Evans, I don't remember. I think we probably this matchup, I'm sure we had him in the must-start tier, didn't we, for this week, assuming he played, which he played. I mean, yeah, you have to start Evans pretty much regardless of matchup, unless it's Marshawn Lattimore or Pat Surtain. And Zay Flowers, to me, is like as close as you can get to must-start without actually being there. Who knows after today? So it's Harrison. I don't know if that helps your chances or not, but hopefully. All right, now here's another Marvin Harrison question from Francisco. Thank you, Francisco. Appreciate it. Up by 27. Do you all have a shot? I'd say you've got a pretty good shot.
Yeah, is Marvin Harrison even in that big game he had, did he reach 27 fantasy points? I mean, this is a big, it would be a very big game for Marvin Harrison. And even with that Chargers secondary banged up, there's still a good defense. So I don't think he's getting 27.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Marvin Harrison get like peppered with targets. I wouldn't go so far as to call him a disappointment, but for redraft leagues, he kind of has been on the slightly disappointing side. He's certainly not putting up 27 this week. You have more than a shot. You have a pretty good chance. Enjoy the game, sit tight, and relax.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think any sweat is required here, although you never know. Joe Castles, no question, just coming to say hi. What's up, Joe? How we doing?
What's up, Joe?
Let's now go to Felix LeBron. Dropped AR to get to it. Look, if you watched, obviously you must have watched my video last night because that's exactly what I said to do. Pick up to it and you can drop AR. Should I drop Bucky? Is it Bucky? Tracy Downs to pick up Waddle? Yeah.
I mean, if you're picking up Waddle, I don't want to drop Bucky because I want to see how this plays out tonight. I know they're talking about like every running back is going to have a series to start the game, and then whoever's hot gets the ball. That can't be real, right? They can't really be doing this, but you never know. Maybe they are. But what if Bucky is the guy? I mean, because look, he's competing with Rachaad White, who hasn't been very good, and Sean Tucker, who sure was great last week against the Saints in garbage time, but he's an undrafted free agent who didn't even see the field here and hadn't even seen the field this year until it was like out of necessity. So there's a chance Bucky comes out of this as the guy still. I think I definitely want to get Waddle. I think the guy I'm dropping is Tracy because we did see with Singletary back, even though I guess Tracy was technically the lead back, it was like these guys are just going to kill each other, right? They're like, as long as both are healthy, then neither one really has much value. So I would definitely drop Tracy to get Waddle.
I would drop all these guys for Waddle. Bucky, part of a potentially three-headed monster. I want to see how this shakes out, but I mean, if we're going to see all three of these guys involved, what standalone value could any of them have on their own? Tracy, he did have a kind of a tough matchup against the Eagles this week. So if you're hurting at running back, I don't know if I necessarily want to drop these guys for Pearsall, but yeah, if it's for Waddle, I'll drop any one of them. Honestly, Downs may be the guy because, I mean, I'm sorry. If we're getting AR rest of the season, we've seen how many games where he's, hitting 9-10 completions a game. That's not enough to sustain anybody fantasy-wise.
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd drop any of them to get Pearsall, though, is the thing. Even with Ayuk out, Pearsall's kind of just that flag guy. Actually, you know what? Maybe I would drop down to get Pearsall. I am so out on the Colts offense passing attack. It is a damn shame what they've become, and it's a damn shame Flacco is not starting for them.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm holding Downs just in case Flacco does become the quarterback again. And I say that because you know that Anthony Richardson, every time he's out there running around, he's putting himself in high injury risk. And it keeps happening. I mean, he keeps missing games. Wouldn't shock me if something else goes on here. So I'm going to stash Downs in case Flacco comes back. And I don't think you really need to add Pearsall just yet. So I would probably do the same as Chris. You said I would drop Tracy to get Waddle. Makes no sense. All right, what about Michael Cazares? 10-man PPR. Here's the squad. Should I trade Waddle or BTJ to upgrade at running back? So right now he's got Hill, London, Kyron, Hubbard, Kincaid, BTJ, Waddle, Ladd, Jacoby, Brooks. JSN, but CMC is waiting in the wings.
Yeah. I mean, we're hearing like that after the bye, so that's week 10. So basically you would have 2 more weeks of no CMC, and then you could have CMC back week 10. And look, here's the thing about CMC is even if they want to limit CMC this year, they might not have a choice anymore. Like they're going to need CMC. Like the 49ers are not the Browns, right? The 49ers are not like, whatever, this season's over, let's just move on. The 49ers are trying to win a Super Bowl right here, right now. And they're going to need CMC, whether if it means rupturing his Achilles, then that's what it's going to take. But they're going to need CMC. Let's hope that doesn't happen, of course. But so I'm not even worried about CMC being limited anymore because it's like they're not going to have a choice. So I think in this case, you're probably okay waiting. I mean, you got Kyron and Chuba. Kyron's been awesome. Chuba's been mostly awesome. I mean, he wasn't awesome this last week, but he was still good. So I think I probably just hold here and because Waddle should be getting much better, and also Waddle not really going to get you much right now. I don't really want to trade away Brian Thomas Jr. if I don't have to, so I'm going to hold here.
As would I. I'm not. BTJ would need a great offer for me to move off of him. Waddle, I think it's better to have a good flex or bench option, and your running backs here are good enough. The only thing here is QB. In 10-man, Kyler, am I confident he's going to get the job done? Maybe you got a Dolphins fan in your league, and they're willing to give you something like Lamar or Joe Burrow for him, perhaps. But yeah, for the most part, I think I am sitting pretty with this lineup. In 10-man, you should have there should be somebody on waivers that might have. You may just want to stream if Kyler legs an egg tonight.
Yeah, one thing is you're asking to improve in the RB room. You're really looking to it would be improving your RB depth because you already have two good starters, Kyron and Hubbard. And the good thing is if something happens to Hubbard, you got Brooks already on standby, or if Brooks takes over, whatever. And then CMC coming back. So I don't feel like you need to do this. I know 3 and 4 doesn't feel great. It's fine. I think it's fine. You will be fine. We have, I don't know if this is a new viewer, a Nate. Anybody know a Nate? Nate L.
You know a Nate, Keith?
No, who is this guy?
No.
Actually, I will say, because we did say in the beginning Keith is one of the OGs, which is true, but I think Nate he may not be the OG, because I think we have people like Nick that went way back before we even had the Discord, but Nate is the OG of the Discord, because without Nate, there wouldn't even be a Discord, because Nate was the one who reached out to me and was like, you should start a Discord, and I said, what's a Discord?
Yeah, we're like,
what is that? I don't even know what that is. And he set it all up, and he got it. So without Nate, there would not be a Discord or a Keith. So thank you,
Nate. Big facts.
Yes, absolutely. And all the custom emojis, that's Nate.
Yes.
Those are fun. All right. It's a legit question. Keith, you got to take this one. It's about your Patriots. The Butte snap share, signal or noise?
I am intrigued by Butte. I think it is more signal. But the only concern I think I'm only targeting him in Dynasty. Redraft, I think he can sit on waivers for a little bit. The guy in New England looks like it's Pop Douglas, and Butte, maybe he pans out. I'd go after him in a deep Dynasty league, but that's pretty much it. If somebody wants to give me a 4th round pick, or if he's sitting on waivers in a Dynasty league, I'd go get him. The other thing is also the Patriots have a brutal schedule. Jets this coming week. I'm not going to want Butte in that matchup whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you need to be adding them in redraft, but I do agree that it's also more signal because, man, Jalen Polk is not looking like that guy.
Oh my God.
Tripping on routes, dropping passes, and for whatever reason, Javon Baker can't crack the lineup, it doesn't seem like. So, we got Kendrick Bourne coming off of ACL. He's being very slow played, of course, which makes sense. So they have to throw to somebody. It can't all be Pop. So I think it's more signal than noise as well. But again, I don't think this is a guy that needs to be added really in any redraft league unless you're in some crazy deep league. But yeah, Dynasty definitely.
Dynasty, sure. Anybody with a role could have value when he's young, and this is a quarterback who's looking like he might be legit. So, amidst all the bad and the ugly right now in the Patriots offense specifically, I think that's the one thing you got to take away and just feel really good about, because receivers can come and go, and the quarterback is the missing piece. 9 times out of 10, the franchise quarterback is so hard to find. If you have that, you almost don't worry. The other stuff can come, right? So if the quarterback's legit, okay, fine. Whoever is going to be their receiver, can make it happen. Chris, you took what I was going to say, though. I think the signal here is the Jalen Polk. Just just not looking ready to be an NFL receiver yet. I really thought Javon Baker would step up. I'm not sure what's going on there, but apparently he's not ready yet either. We'll see. It's just going to take some time. It's going to take a little time for this whole offense to really kind of find itself. I don't know. Maybe they just need to like toughen up or something. Stop being so soft. Brian is in the house. Look at that. That's right. The third says, I like that comment. It implies that we were already studs. So I appreciate that, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Gabriel McNary. We actually have back-to-back Gabriels. Let's do this one first. Down by 19. Can Marvin get it?
He can. It's within the realm. It's within the range of outcomes. It's definitely. You're definitely going to be nervous tonight. I'll say that, but it's possible.
Yes, you certainly could get it. Will you? I would not want to be putting money on this one. You're in for a sweat tonight.
Yeah, I don't know about 19, but you never know. And then just Gabriel is down 10. Opponent has Lamar versus Mike Evans and McBride. How screwed? What's the screwedness level here?
This might be closer than you think. I mean, it depends how off Lamar goes tonight. But let's say Lamar gets like 20. I'm going to assume like a normal league, not some crazy league with crazy QB bonuses or anything. Let's say he gets 25, which is a big game. Yeah, Evans and McBride could get you 35. I mean, it's not a lock for sure. But again, that assumes Lamar has a big game, which I kind of think he will. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the more I look at the point numbers, I think this is closer to a coin flip than my initial thought was. Lamar, I think, is probably going to get you about 20, so that brings you to 30. And can Mike Evans and McBride get you 30? If I had to put a number down, that's pretty much exactly what I would think is going to happen. So, coin flip for you.
Yep.
Coin flip sounds about right. This could go any number of ways. I think you do have a good shot here, Gabriel, so I wouldn't say you're screwed. We'll see. I think you'll have at least a good feeling after the first game. Although the first and second game are pretty much simultaneous, which again, explain that to me, why they don't stagger them. But no, that's not.
Why do they even do 2 Monday night games? I don't even get that.
I don't know. I wish I had a logical explanation.
Like, instead of giving us 3 crappy late afternoon Sunday games, give us a 4th crappy late afternoon Sunday game.
Yeah, at least it's on Sunday. All right, so Alan here has got an 8-point lead. Opponent has Baker. He's got Josh Palmer because it's an 18-team league. Good.
I don't know if I'd say good. I mean, if there's a positive spin here, it's that QJ is out, so maybe they'll need Palmer more. But yeah, I'm expecting another big Baker game tonight. Really, this is gonna come down to like how big of a game does Baker have, and does Josh Palmer do anything?
Yeah, Josh Palmer is not the most exciting wide receiver in the world. What are we talking about? A ceiling, maybe 12 points at best. That gives you 20. Baker's certainly capable of delivering 20. And I think he does tonight. So, yeah, are you good? Afraid I got bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't feel there's a great ceiling here. Too bad you don't have Arnold Palmer, because then you'd have some big upside.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I went there. All right, moving on. Black Mamba. I brought that question up just so I could use that. What do you think of JT and BTJ for Chase and Olave? That's a big one.
I'm doing this if it's me, because like JT Chase feels pretty even here. Pretty even. But I still got to prefer Olave to Brian Thomas Jr. I know right now when you look at the Saints, you're like, no, thank you. But we hopefully only have one more week of Spencer Rattler, and then we get Derek Carr back. And, I'm not the biggest Derek Carr guy, but he can support Chris Olave, especially with no Rashid Shaheed. I did see they just signed MVS, so that doesn't really worry me at all here. So I think in this case I take it because I prefer Olave to BTJ still.
Yeah, for me, this would come down to, can I afford the loss of JT on my roster? If I can, I don't need the running back help. I think Chase and Olave outscore Brian Thomas Jr. and JT, so I would take that as well.
This is a case where you're getting enough back for Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, so I would do it. I mean, getting Chase, how can you say no to that?
Right.
Let's get to this kind of more general question about Oscar 5000. Do you think trading for CMC right now is a good idea? Unlike, what was it, week 2 when I traded Keith to get CMC and he was laughing heartily as I took the injured player, which at that time, to be fair, he had not yet been put on IR. It was just like, oh, he's feeling some things. But anyways, Keith, right now, is it a good time to trade for CMC or too risky?
You know, I have kind of been off of CMC for a while. The Ayuk injury may impact things a little bit for me because, like, the way I kind of foresaw this was I think CMC comes back and I think we see him a bit more game managed. I don't know if we're going to see the CMC that was getting 90 to 100% of the work. My thought was we see more 60-40 and then they kind of ramp him up for the playoffs. With Ayuk out and now the 49ers looking kind of decimated, maybe they do need to lean on him. I personally am not shopping for CMC anywhere unless I am really, really desperate at running back. But, I mean, it's worth sending out flyers. I was going to say, this is probably something where I send either a low ball offer or like a flavor of the week kind of guy, somebody who had an unrealistically big game. I mean, John O. Smith's not obviously going to do it, but guys that have really, really done well lately that I don't think are going to sustain it. Trying to think of like wide receiver. Running back for running back, I don't think I'm going to do this, but wide receiver for CMC, I definitely would. Maybe Pickens and a good tight end gets it done. But yeah, I mean, personally, if it's running back for running back, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing I basically said the whole time after CMC went on IR. I want to trade two goodish type of players. Like you said, Keith, like a good wide receiver and a decent tight end, or maybe a good wide receiver and a decent running back, like a low-end RB2 or something like that, to get CMC. I'm not going to trade a very high-end player for CMC. It's just too risky. It's too risky. But, yeah, if you could trade, like you said, Keith, if I could trade like a Pickens and, I don't know, like a Chase Brown, somebody like that, or a Rico Dowdle, Pickens and a Rico Dowdle, somebody like that, who's like, you know, a serviceable RB2, but not anything where I'm going to miss him so much. I'll try it. I'll do it. But if they're asking like, they're like, I need Pickens and, you know, James Cook, or Pickens and whatever, Kenneth Walker, somebody really good. And I'm saying no.
Right. And what worries me isn't as much the usage when he does come back, because Chris, like you mentioned earlier, this is a team that might need him, especially the start they've got out to record wise. Like they're looking to make a Super Bowl run. If he is good to go, and we even saw this, Kyle Shanahan seems to not care. Maybe it's why he got the injury in the first place. He's been putting him out there a ton of touches. My concern is the re-injury risk, which could be high for that type of injury. So now I think might be the time where you could trade for CMC. But again, agree with both of you guys. I'm not trading a vital piece of my starting lineup to do it. All right,
We did just get confirmation for those asking. Ladd McConkey is active tonight, so he is playing.
That's good. All right. Peter Zoo, up by 26, have Henry against Mayfield. Winning? Probably.
I think you should. I mean, 26 for Mayfield is a big game, and that would mean Derrick Henry did absolutely nothing, which he's not going to do nothing. So, yeah, you should win tonight.
Yeah, 26 points. Unless this is like a 6-point touchdown league with big plays, you should have this in the bag.
Right.
Definitely should. Definitely should. Mary Jo, hello there. Down by 18. Have Evans, McBride, and the kicker, whose name is McLaughlin, apparently. She has Tucker. Okay, I'm going to just assume kickers cancel each other out because that way we don't have to think about them. So Evans, McBride for 18. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, they should get you. They should get you 18. I mean, unless they just both absolutely bust tonight, they should get you at least 18.
Agreed. I don't see how Evans and McBride get you less than 18. So this comes to and the kickers should cancel each other out.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you should be able to pull this out. McBride at least has that floor. He hasn't been scoring many touchdowns this year, but Evans is good. Great matchup. I think you got it. Of course, we're pulling for you, Mary Jo. Corey Miller, 5-2, first place. Very nice. Scott Goff, Connor Jones, Amon-Ra London, BTJ Olave, Kittle, Gino, Braylon, Benson, Chandler, and Bucky. All right. Thoughts, moves, trades, drops, etc. Keith.
First thing Benson is not a guy I'm looking to handcuff. We've seen repeated splits between him and DeMarcado as far as action behind Connor. If Connor goes down, I think we see a split between the two. He's not a particularly valuable handcuff. He's better in Dynasty, but redraft, I don't think I want Benson. I'm dumping him, going after anybody else. Anybody else here? Aaron Jones and Chandler could get you a nice package, but you're pretty set across the board here. You're 5-2. Goff has been on fire. Your wide receivers are excellent. You've got a tight end you don't have to worry about. Yeah, really the only thing I'm doing is dropping Benson for another handcuff running back, and that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. I see why you're 5-2 and in first place. Your starting lineup is stacked. For a 12-teamer, this is stacked. I would also drop Gino because, I mean, are you really ever going to start Gino over Goff? And is somebody really going to – if you need Gino down the road, Gino will probably still be there on waiver wire for you. So I agree with Keith. I'm going to drop Benson. I'm also going to drop Gino. I mean, you got Sun God London, Olave. I don't know. I almost feel like this team might need if Jennings is on waiver wire, I'd probably add Jennings here because no guarantee Olave plays this week, right? We saw Malik Neighbors miss 2 games with a concussion. And if he does and it's Spencer Rattler, you might not even want to start Olave this week. So, but yeah, I think I would drop Gino and Benson, try to pick up like a guy like Jennings if he's still on waivers, which he probably is because a lot of people dropped him last week because he wasn't playing and he was bad the week before. And then, yeah, maybe try to get a different handcuff running back or even just whatever the best waiver options are.
Agree with all that. You don't need Gino. Grab a receiver for some depth. But only thing I might change here is seeing as how you got Chandler to back up Aaron Jones, got Connor, so you might want to hold on to Benson as the handcuff there specifically, and then you don't need as many different, kind of RB upside plays. You can keep Bucky. I think Bucky still has standalone value, but that's probably the only thing I would say. I might be more inclined to drop maybe even Braylon Allen over Benson just for this team. But I mean, you're good. You got a good team, so you don't need to mess with it too much. Skyward sent Hall for, unfortunately, Ayuk. Dell and JSN 2 weeks ago. And yeah. So condolences for Skyward.
Yeah.
Not
really much to say here. Sorry,
man.
Yep.
Because if it makes you feel any better, I flipped Jacoby Myers for Ayuk this past weekend, and yep, that is RIP.
Yep.
This is where we look for Fantasy Football is Pain to be the next comment. I don't see him on there, but that's just a reminder. The game, shows no mercy.
No.
Tyler Moore. Otten or Andrews tonight. Needs 8 points, and this is a non-PPR league. Keith, which tight end do you favor?
If it's non-PPR, I think I'm going to gamble on Andrews here. I think he's the most likely to hit the end zone. Otten would probably be my choice in a PPR league. He's on the field more often. He's more involved in routes. But, yeah, if we're looking for a touchdown here, Andrews.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, Otten. You just never know with Otten. I mean, I'm still very nervous about Andrews. He's still not running a lot of routes, but like Keith said, if one of these guys is going to score tonight, it's probably going to be Andrews. And I did talk about this game has the makings of a high-scoring, high-passing volume type of game, so which I guess is good for Otten too, but Andrews has better touchdown upside, so let's go Andrews.
I kind of want to be back in on Andrews because they're finally throwing the ball to him. This offense is clicking. It's a great matchup. Otten is a nice streamer if you need him, but I think I'm going to put Andrews actually above the streaming level, just barely. So I would go Andrews as well. So speaking of tonight's game, which really hoping is a high-scoring game as we predict, Lindsey Clark. Don't know if this is because you got to start sit decision or just curious. Is it an Evans week or a Godwin week? I mean, it really should be both. Let's face it. Right. It kind of could be both, but that's not always how it plays out. Chris, we had Godwin as a boom, but do you feel like Evans, now that he's clear, has as much or more upside?
I think I always feel like Evans has more upside in the good matchups because he's the type of guy that can hit that, 30, 40, 50-yard touchdown. And I also feel like he's the guy when they get near the goal line, they're going to design plays for him, right? Like fades and things like that in the end zone. But that being said, I don't know how healthy he is. And I feel like this might be a better Godwin week, but I think they're both going to be good tonight.
I agree. I think both of these guys could smash this week. Evans, I think, is a little bit more of a threat for the red zone, whereas Godwin is more effective in catching passes. But yeah, this week, Ravens secondary doesn't scare me, honestly. If you have either one, they're great. If you have to bench one, I would say if it's actually, I think Evans. I think I'm slightly Evans.
To bench or to start?
Oh, no. I'm starting Evans. Godwin would hit the bench.
All right.
Yeah, I will say another plus here. I'm looking right now on fantasy points. The Ravens give up the 9th most targets to wide receivers on the outside and only the 26 fewest targets to slot wide receivers. So this does. So I guess I have to say, take it back a little bit. This has the makings of a bigger Evans game. The issue is that hamstring. Like, is it going to be like what we saw last week where he's in and out of the lineup? But maybe it won't matter tonight because of the matchup.
Yeah. I mean, both definitely still strong starts. We'll see what happens. Not sure exactly how that game or the next game will play out. I do have a prediction, though. There's one thing I do feel very confident about. Cardinals, Chargers. I bet you Kyler Murray gets at least 1 yard. At least 1 yard. Why does this matter? Well, if you sign up for Underdog, you can take that as a pick 'em. It's a free pick. That's right, Kyler Murray getting a yard, go higher for the 0.5 total yards. That's your free pick. You combine it with any other pick, and it doesn't even have to be a Monday night NFL football pick. It could be anything. You got the upcoming weeks. NFL picks already starting to come out. College football, NBA season is upon us, NHL season, etc., MLB, World Series picks. That's right. It's the World Series. Yeah, baseball is actually not over yet. So anything that you want, go ahead and combine it with this pick. You get this if you are brand new to Underdog, but you have to make sure that you sign up using code ENDGAME. And you not only get that free pick, you get up to $1,000 of bonus cash just for signing up. So check it out now if you haven't. And if you didn't already know, it's Boostober, which I will say as often as possible for the next 10 days. Boostober, you get profit boost tokens every single day until Halloween hits. All right, we got a little bit of time here before the first game, which still is annoying to say. The first Monday night game kicks off. Let's do Dustin Forsberg starting next week. Most of my buys are done. Well, that's nice.
Nice.
2 and 5. That's not so nice. Got Mahomes. It's his fault. Achane, Dowdle, Madison, Lamb, Moore, Olave Downs, Juju, Pop, Mostert, Andrews, Ferguson, Vikings. Playoff chances with this squad. Keith, what's your gut reaction here?
I always kind of want to be nice, but at the same point here, I don't think your running backs are going to be good enough. I'm worried about the Cowboys, man. The Cowboys just have not been effective at running the ball, getting Lamb the ball. Everybody seems to know they're throwing a Lamb, and they don't have any answers to get him open. Your receivers are good. And yeah, Achane, Dowdle, Mostert. Yeah, I think you need a little bit more at running back here. Ferguson, if you've got Ferguson, I am selling Mark Andrews, especially if he has a big game tonight. And what else can be done here? Juju probably can be dropped at this point for a handcuff wide receiver too. He's already been ruled out this week, so adios. You do have a good kicker in defense, though, so there is that. But yeah, you need some help at RB2 for sure. And you're still rocking Mahomes at quarterback. Yeesh, that explains the 2 and 5 too. Yeah, time to start streaming quarterbacks, my friend. Time to start streaming quarterbacks.
I agree. Try to trade Andrews, especially if he does anything tonight. If he scores a touchdown, has a nice game again, just trade him. Roll with Ferguson out of the bye. I think with Achane, he should bounce back with Tua. I think between Madison, Dowdle, and Mostert, you're okay at RB2. Madison actually looking pretty good. You don't want to start him this week because it's the Chiefs, but then he gets the Bengals and the Dolphins, so you can start him those 2 weeks. But I totally agree. The first thing that jumped out to me is like, why are we still starting Mahomes? Like, how many weeks of terrible Mahomes games do you need to sit through before you give up on this guy? Go grab Kirk Cousins. I'll bet you he's out there. And if he's not, somebody will probably drop him this week because he was so bad. Kirk Cousins, doesn't he have? He has like a smash matchup this week, if I remember right. They play the
rematch.
Yeah, they get Tampa Bay. Go get Kirk Cousins. Remember the last time he played Tampa Bay, he had 500 yards. Don't know if he's going to do that again, but yeah, drop Mahomes and start streaming QB.
I forget who the Rams are playing this week, but yeah, I'm sure Stafford's also on waivers. If Kupp is back, his point number should go way up too.
Rams at home against Vikings on Thursday night.
Oh yeah, go get them. Go get them.
There you go. All right, Dustin. All is not lost. Brandon Sky wants to know, would you trade Terry for Tyreek?
Yeah, give me Tyreek.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, look, Terry's been great. I don't think we really have to take the JD injury into consideration because it doesn't sound serious. Maybe he misses this week, but let's think long term. I don't think that's the issue. It's Tyreek Hill is going to go back to being Tyreek Hill. Like, celebration for that. Yes, this is your last chance to buy low on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Don't buy low. I just caught this. This is back when we had this discussion. This is pretty good. I think I'm going to remember this now. Nate, JSN just said no.
Big facts.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with you, Nate.
Yeah. Lindsay already asked this, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Steven, better RB pickup Bigsby or White?
Bigsby. Yeah, that White, if he's part of a 3-headed committee, I want absolutely no part of that whatsoever. Bigsby looked great against the Patriots. I kind of figured maybe Dearness Johnson would be involved. They both were. And Bigsby looks phenomenal. I mean, granted, he won't be playing the Patriots every week, but yeah, going forward, I'll take my chances with Bigsby over White.
Yeah, I don't even think it matters which White, Rashad or Zamir. I'm taking Bigsby here. I think even, and I talk about this actually in tonight's video, I think when Etienne comes back, he just takes the Dearness Johnson role, which is the pass catching kind of change of pace back. I think we see Bigsby be the lead back here. Now, Bigsby will be game script dependent, right? When they're getting blown out and throwing the ball a ton, Bigsby is going to kill you. But you can just sit him in games where it's like, oh, they're playing, the Ravens this week. Okay, I'll sit Bigsby, right? Or whoever, whatever it might be. But yeah, I'm not trusting either White. Give me Bigsby.
Yeah, I didn't even think, I guess I should have mentioned this in the waiver wire video. I didn't put Tank Bigsby as a pickup because that would make 3 straight weeks. So I almost said it, but I didn't say it. It's like, look, if you haven't picked up Tank Bigsby, what else do I have to tell you? Like, what? Obviously, you're not listening. It's like you could have picked him up last week and the week before. So I think it's kind of too obvious. If Tank Bigsby's out there, pick him up. I know you're asking about White. That's fair, right? I mean, this is a guy we drafted really high, but I think I'm going Bigsby. Connor Turatola is next, traded for Neighbors. Is he cooked? Now, he didn't have a great game, but cooked seems a little strong. Chris, cooked?
No, I don't think he's cooked. I mean, everybody has down games. Is Neighbors going to be as good as he was on that game, that 2 or 3 game stretch that we saw there? Maybe not. Is he going to be as bad as we saw this week? Probably not. He'll probably be somewhere in between. I think we maybe got a little lost in the fact that Daniel Jones is still his QB because he was out, because Neighbors I'm talking about was out there like, bailing Daniel Jones out over and over with his terrible throws, but he's not going to be able to do that every single week. And, they're going to face some defenses that are like the Eagles that are actually going to be able to defend Neighbors and make Daniel Jones have to throw accurate passes and sack him. I feel like every time they red zone flipped to that Eagles game, it was just Daniel Jones getting sacked. It was like I feel like, did he get sacked 10 times? It felt like he got sacked 10 times yesterday.
7. Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't that far off. Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, Daniel Jones just got his butt kicked yesterday. When you're getting hit that often, you're not going to be able to effectively throw the ball. I don't care who you are. Yeah, is he cooked? Absolutely not. Did he disappoint? Sure. Maybe we got a buy low window open on him. But, yeah, I still think this guy is definitely top 20 rest of season. Maybe top 10, maybe not. But, yeah, top 20, I feel like, is a lock for him.
Yeah, right. Don't panic here, Connor. It's easy to say, man, when was the last time he did anything? Because it feels like a long time ago, because he missed 2 games with a concussion. He's had 1 not great game. Let's just be patient. I know it's hard sometimes, but patience will eventually mostly pay off. Short season. It's a good question. Now, Njoku, based on not just what he did yesterday, but also what he could do with those vacated targets, hopefully Jameis Winston or Ferguson, in the fact that he's a Dallas Cowboy. Chris?
Yeah, this is going to come down to who do the Browns announce as a starter. If they announce Jameis Winston, I might actually prefer Njoku. But if they announce Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I'm still going Ferguson. He's really only had 1 bad game of the healthy games he's played, and that was the last game where Dak Prescott was absolutely horrible. Ferguson's been mostly good pretty much every game this year, and he gets red zone targets. And I still trust the Cowboys to get into the red zone more than the Browns. So if it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I'm going Ferguson.
This, to me, pretty much, the choice is whoever's currently on my roster. I actually got offered Ferguson for Njoku straight up this past weekend, and I turned it down. I had Njoku. And I'm just not entirely trusting the Cowboys offense right now. They are super pass happy, but I am definitely nervous about what's going on in Dallas for sure. Not that Cleveland's any better. I mean, they're a raging dumpster fire, but the Njoku is going to be involved for sure. This is a team that is going to run with Chubb a lot, regardless of who's under center. The Njoku is probably the most talented receiver they have. Judy ain't it. Cedric Tillman, maybe he's an interesting name, but also a young guy. I honestly think the Njoku is going to he may lead the league in targets for tight ends this season. But this is so close that honestly, whoever I have is the guy I'm sticking with, and that's that.
Super close. I will say I might give a slight edge in a full PPR league to Njoku. I think he might get more receptions down the stretch. Ferguson, I feel, should have more touchdown upside. So in like a half or non-PPR league, I might lean Ferguson. It's really close here. I don't feel like I would trade one for the other, kind of like you said, Keith. I don't think you're necessarily winning either way. Anthony, just saying what's up. And yeah, Pickens in lineups turned out to be a good idea. So glad you had him in there. And then Brandon Sky, how about interesting? Evan Ingram or Amari Cooper, Chris?
I'm not sure what this is asking, but I gotta prefer the wide receiver. I gotta prefer Amari Cooper. I think Evan Ingram will be a top 5 tight end rest of the season, but that's not as good as being the number 1 wide receiver in Buffalo. And even yesterday, we saw what Amari Cooper is capable of in very limited snaps. I don't know what the question is here, but I gotta go Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's some sort of tight end premium here, or yeah, this has got to be Cooper all day, and I'll stream tight end. Cooper, like, he had a great game and wasn't even on the field half the time. Sky's the limit for him. I think he's got top 10 wide receiver upside rest of the season. Sure, Ingram's a great tight end, but, I mean, if we're measuring tight end versus wide receiver's going to win every time.
Right. Yeah, Ingram, great for a tight end, but I think you got to go Cooper here. All right, got, I don't know, about, 12 minutes? Is that how long we got to the first kickoff? Let's try to make sure we get all the super chats in, especially if you guys got questions for tonight. Like Demetrios, I guess he needs one for tonight. It's either Bucky Irving or Kamani Vidal. Keith, which way are you going?
Oof, toughy. I think I'm leaning Irving just because he looks like the guy and feels like the guy out of Tampa Bay. Vidal is only coming off like his first halfway impressive game. Let me see it one more time before I think about putting him in my lineup.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Irving here. I think he'll get more touches. Vidal, even though he had that nice touchdown on that wheel route last week, he really barely touched the ball. So I think I got to go Irving.
Yeah, I'd go Irving too. Just feel better about his potential for touches. And then we kind of had this earlier, but KC needs 8 points to win. So in this case, is it Harrison or Ladd? Chris, we had kind of all said Ladd earlier. Is it still Ladd?
Yeah, I think they both should be able to get you 8 points tonight, but I just feel safer about, I feel like Ladd has the higher floor, so I'm going to go Ladd.
Agreed. Part of why I said Ladd over MHJ earlier was because you also had Kyler back there, and you don't want to go down with sinking Kyler ship if he has a bad game. But straight up, I mean, Ladd, if you need only 8 points, I think Ladd's going to be good for that.
Still going Ladd. I mean, he's shown at least a decent floor. This is PPR. Sticking with Ladd. TS up 2 has a choice between Flowers or Dobbins going against either of the Baltimore tight ends. Interesting. All right, but if you're going between Flowers or Dobbins, Keith, which way are you going?
If it's PPR, I'm going Flowers. If it's half or less, I'll take Dobbins.
Exactly the same. I don't think it's really going to matter here. I think they're both going to be great tonight. I think you're going to win either way. But yeah, PPR, go with the wide receiver. Otherwise, go Dobbins.
Right. I'm going to say I got to start Flowers. I might even start Flowers if it's non-PPR. Just go with Flowers, and you should win pretty easily. Curious to see which tight end he picks. Let's do Thomas. Thomas is always with us. Don't be sad. Down 8, Mike Evans and McBride versus Baker and Godwin.
I feel like we did this one. We did this one. Did we? Or did we not? I don't remember. Maybe not.
We didn't get this question specifically, I don't think.
All right. We just had a lot of Evans, Baker, McBride, Godwin questions tonight, I guess. Down 8. He's got Baker and God. I think I'd have to, sadly, Thomas pick his side. He's already got an 8-point lead. He's got potentially the highest score here in Baker, although Evans could be the highest scorer. So I think, sadly, I would have to pick his side, but I'll be pulling for you.
Agreed. I will say I think Evans and McBride have more touchdown upside than Godwin, so, I mean, you're certainly not dead to rights. But I think in a vacuum here, Baker and Godwin probably are going to. If they don't win, they're certainly going to not lose by more than 8, I don't think. But if you get lucky on touchdowns, hey, I'll be pulling for you.
Right. You never know. I'd probably have to lean the Baker Godwin side. And just to add to the potential misery here, play Juju instead of waiting on Evans.
Juju
Pretty
over
sure
Evans.
we didn't recommend that, but who knows? All right. Waiver.
No way I recommended that. I mean, look, I recommended way more Josh Downs than I wish I would have, but I did not recommend Juju over Evans or Ladd. That is for sure.
No, definitely not here. All right. Now here's a tricky one. Williams or Williams?
I mean, it depends which Williams, but if I have to pick one, I'll pick Williams.
Williams for the win.
Is it Jay Williams or is it Jay Williams? That's the question.
Ooh, yeah, it's true.
All right, back to Steven. Just clarifying, it was not Zamir White. That didn't even enter my mind. It's still Bigsby.
Yeah. Either way, it's Bigsby.
All right, there we go. Let's get to Fantasy 478. Down by only a mere 75 points. You got Ladd, Dobbins, Flowers, McBride, and King Henry. Okay, so now you saved your entire roster for Monday night. Odds here, Chris?
I actually think this is closer than it seems because you got 5 guys to go. So you're asking for an average of 15. I'm going to assume PPR. I mean, 15 is still like a nice game, but you got guys like Dobbins, you got guys like Flowers, you got McBride, you got Ladd, you got Henry. It's not like you have bad players here. I mean, I would rather be up 75 than be down 75 with this lineup to go, but I don't think you're dead at all here.
Yeah, you're certainly not dead. You're just kind of hoping the Arizona-LA game turns out to be a bit more of a shootout than maybe most of us are thinking it will be. If it's a high-scoring game, then you should be in good shape. I think you'll get at least 15 out of Henry and Flowers, but yeah, if the other game isn't so high-scoring, then but you've got a chance. You've got a chance.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I feel good or not about this. I look at it should be a high-scoring game for sure in the first one. I mean, I think you've got a good shot, but that's probably as deep into it as I could get. Let's do Christian Gonzalez here. 6-1 in half. Nice. Got Lamar, JT, Monty Mason, JJ Flowers, Ingram on the bench is Goddard, Najee, Mostert, Slayton, Quentin, Wicks, and Gino. Nico is an IR. Is it time to trade Mason?
Definitely. Every week that goes by, it's getting harder. Going to be harder and harder to trade this guy. He just resumed his workhorse role. He didn't have a big game, but he was the guy. I think there's still value here. If I can get any decent wide receiver or running back for him right now, I'm just going to take it and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Get rid of Mason while you can. Anybody else here that I think is Goddard? Honestly, Goddard should probably be dropped at this point, but he may still have value for somebody, so it might be worth packaging him for a tight end needy team, especially in 12 team. What else we got here? How do we think of? Do we think Najee is going to remain as good as he's been lately? I'm not entirely convinced myself, but
yeah, I'd be fine. Like if you wanted to package Mason and Najee and go get like an upgrade at running back or upgrade at wide receiver, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, Slayton's. Slayton. Bye. Quentin and Wicks. I was gonna say Wicks is only good where you need him, and then I was gonna say Gino. Gino probably can be dropped, especially if you've got Lamar. There's no need to hang on it. No.
Yeah, I did see something. I don't remember the exact numbers, but something like the first time this year was Warren and Najee saw near even snaps, I think it was, and of course didn't matter. Najee definitely outproduced him, but I mean, I'm still okay moving on from Najee here. But you got a good team, Mason. Yeah, this is a time to trade Mason. Royland, not too long ago, jumped on, and that's right. Love seeing Keith making his debut here.
Right.
Go Chiefs. Yeah, forget about the Chiefs. What about Sandy McMurray? My running backs are Henry Pollard and Bigsby. Got a trade to receive Kareem Hunt and DJ Moore or Malik Neighbors. Are you doing this, Chris?
I don't think so. I'm not all of a sudden full-fledged panic on Malik Neighbors here. Like DJ Moore is fine, but like we've seen with Caleb, even in big Caleb games, it doesn't mean DJ Moore is going to have a big game. He's going to be very volatile. And yeah, Kareem Hunt's solid for an RB, but he's like an RB2. Like this is the kind Kareem Hunt and DJ Moore is the kind of trade I want to send for like CMC. If I want to take a chance on CMC, this is like the exact. I think this is a great, like whoever sent you this offer. I think this is a great buy low offer for Malik Neighbors because you see Kareem Hunt, you see DJ Moore, you're like, I'm getting two good players. But I never want to be the guy getting two good players and giving away the stud player. I still believe Malik Neighbors will be a stud, so I'm keeping Neighbors here.
I don't know if I would be. But the only thing here, you've got Henry and Pollard, so I don't think, unless you're starting three running backs, I don't really think you need Hunt all that much. Yeah, Pollard's already had his bye, so you just got to worry about Henry, and Bigsby should be fine for you for whenever that happens. So, yeah, I mean, you don't really need Kareem Hunt all that bad. You're definitely downgrading at wide receiver with more for Neighbors. So, I mean, if you were more running back needy, I would say take this, but you're not. So, I would hold and keep Neighbors.
Right. This feels like a fair trade for both sides, but it doesn't necessarily help this team. I mean, we don't know what the receivers look like here, but I think we got to prefer Neighbors to DJ Moore. So, yeah, I don't think you need to do this. All right, we got Mr. Major 27 just traded Love for DK. The other QB was Baker. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's a smash.
Smash.
Keith, you like it? Smash?
Yeah.
Sounds
You've got
like
Baker, you don't need Love. And if you're getting a wide receiver like DK for him, smash. Unless this is super flex, but
right.
If it doesn't say, I'm assuming not.
Yeah. If it's super flex, then I probably prefer Love, honestly. But in non-super flex, this is a huge win. Huge win. I mean,
yeah. And again, DK Metcalf, I think it's week to week. Maybe he doesn't play this week, but nothing significant. Shouldn't be long term. John M wants to know, is it time to trade Kareem Hunt for Ramondre and Algier? He says somebody sent me this.
No, I don't think it's a smash. And it doesn't feel like a huge win. Doesn't feel like a huge loss. It doesn't feel like a smash. It just feels like whatever. I might actually prefer Hunt, honestly.
I want Hunt here. Stevenson banged up, being called soft, getting less than 60% of the snaps right now. Even in PPR leagues, I think I would prefer Hunt here. Hunt's just getting all the work. Sure, you're going to be a little bit hurting for running back when Pacheco returns, but I would just continue to work the waiver wire and keep Hunt, as you've already done since you have Hunt. Now, you definitely have to draft the guy, so.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, it would have seemed pretty obvious. You take it, but things done changed. Stevenson not looking too great. Here's the other thing. They have an actual quarterback now. Maybe they don't have to run the ball as much as they did before. So, yeah, not a smash except. Let's see anything before. I know we got a couple more super chats. Let's see if there's anything for tonight. Doug Fenton's up 45. They have Evans, Godwin, and Dobbins, but he's got Flowers and a kicker. I think that should be enough.
Yeah, because if Flowers and the kicker combine for, let's say, 20, now you're up 65. That means he needs 20 plus from all three of those guys, which is doable, but that's like on the higher end here. I like your chances.
As do I. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's the kicker doesn't add much. Flowers could be something, but you've got Evans, Godwin, and Dobbins. I think you've got that.
Yeah, a sizable lead. Gin Rail. Prescott for Purdy. Does either guy excite you?
Underachiever for underachiever. Yeah, this doesn't really excite me all that much. I mean, sure, maybe I take Prescott because I know he's had his bye already, but yeah, I think I'd rather keep Dak here just because of the bye week, and that's about it.
Call me crazy. I'm definitely taking Dak here, and I actually think Dak's a great buy low. Dak has the second best QB schedule rest of the season. They've had a really tough start schedule-wise. And they did this last year too. I think I saw the stat after week 7, CeeDee Lamb was like the wide receiver 20 last week, and then he went nuts the rest of the season, and so did Dak. I think we might see that again this year. And look, now who's Purdy throwing to now? Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Deebo, like all his weapons gone. I'm just taking Dak here.
Right, we can complain all we want about Ayuk being underwhelming for us in fantasy, but in real life, you can't say that doesn't hurt the passing game and Purdy. And CMC coming back, I mean, I guess that sort of helps Purdy, but it doesn't mean that they're going to throw it more necessarily. I don't know. Give me Dak as well. I agree. He's a nice buy low here. So I'm not sure which side you're getting, but if you got Prescott, I keep Prescott.
So apparently Rachaad White is getting the start.
Yeah, start smart.
For whatever a start means for a 3-headed monster.
Well, He's already caught a pass for 18 yards, so there is that.
Whoa.
Let's see what happens.
Ismail says Mahomes is not giving me points. Understood. Should I claim? Okay, Russell Wilson, Drake May, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins moving forward, and apparently his rage dropping Braylon Allen because it's in all caps. What do we think, Keith? Who, if anyone, are you just going to go Mahomes?
Mahomes is a streamer at this point. I'm playing the matchups. Kirk probably is going to be the guy week to week. I can rule out May right now because he gets the Jets. What's week 8 looking like? We've got who are the Falcons playing? Oh wait, I'm looking at
Falcons get the Bucks, which is the game where Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards. He's not going to throw for 500 yards again, but I mean, come on. I got to go Cousins. Cousins this week, but I wouldn't. This is the problem, and like we saw this with the other chat where the guy was in bad shape and he'd been rolling Mahomes every week. Just stream. Don't say, okay, I'm going to drop Mahomes and now Kirk Cousins is my QB1. Like, yeah, if Kirk Cousins continues to play well, you can keep rolling with him, but don't feel bad dropping Kirk Cousins. Like if Kirk Cousins has a tough matchup or he stinks like he did this week, go grab a Russ or a Drake May or a Geno Smith if they have a great matchup that week. Just stream if you need to.
There you go. I mean, I said on today's video, I'm going Cousins for this week. Yeah, that's what I would do. Go Cousins and then play by ear. All right, one more because games are now officially underway. Crazies down 48 with Evans, Dobbins, and Herbert just against Bucky. What do we think? Chris?
Evans, Dobbins, you're down 48 with Bucky just got his first touch. But I mean, how good is Bucky really getting? Let's say Bucky gets 10 tonight. That's 58 with 3 guys. That's about 20. I mean, I like Evans and Dobbins. My worry here is what does Herbert really get you tonight? I think this is going to be a sweat crazy. I think it's going to be pretty close to a flip.
I agree. This is a sweat big time. Herbert, I mean, it is Arizona. Their defense is not good, so maybe he could throw for a touchdown or 2. Maybe Dobbins could even catch one. You're really rolling. But if that happens and Evans happens to get a touchdown, then you may be in good shape. But it's 48 points, and it's also against Bucky, so I think you're probably losing, but there is a path for you.
Yeah, there's a path if Evans and Dobbins both score, which is very possible. So a slight uphill climb, but you definitely have a shot, so don't give up. And then actually one more is Royland. Once pick 3 for a bench stash. Got Bucky, Corum, Tracy, Wilson, Vidal, Estime, Kendre, Benson, Jalen Wright, and I like it. Thanks, Keith, and you other guys, you other 2.
Yeah,
so, thanks, Keith. All right, Keith, go for it.
All right, so pick 3 for a bench stash. Corum, just because Kyron's just getting fed like a monster, and if he goes down, Corum figures to be the next guy up. Same thing with Vidal. Like, if I'm going to take handcuffs, I want guys that are behind running backs that are getting massive workloads. So and Bucky's interesting, but I don't know if I necessarily want to start, because with Bucky, he's going to need at least an injury, maybe 2 to really be valuable. So I would go Corum, Vidal, and then toss up between Kendra and Emmanuel Wilson.
Interesting. I definitely agree with you on Corum and Vidal. I think they got to be the top 2 because they just have, like, yeah, if something happens to Kyron, Corum's going to get all the touches there, and same with Vidal with J.K. Dobbins. I think I do still go Bucky. I get what you're saying about Emmanuel Wilson and Kendre for sure, but I feel like Bucky is the one guy here who has a path without an injury. Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if Bucky at some point is getting like the bulk of the carries in this offense, even with Rachaad White healthy. So that's the reason why I'm going to put him third, because I feel like his path does not have as much resistance as the other guys. Even if he may not have as much upside as those guys if, like, Jacobs goes down or Kamara goes down, but his path is clearer. So that's why I'll say him. And Evans just caught a 25-yard touchdown, by the way.
Woohoo!
There you go. Yeah, that game is already high scoring. I'm going to say Bucky, Corum. Tempted to say Wright, but he's got 2 healthy running backs ahead of him, and I'll go Vidal third for now. And then would love to say Roberto put his comment up, but once again, not safe for work. Come on, Roberto. There's kids who watch here. But he says, Keith, your voice is like an angel, so take that for what it's worth.
Well, I thank you.
All right. Let's get out of here because the game's already started. Big thank you to the weather beast himself. That would be Keith. And if you want more great advice from him, make sure you list the opponent, but join the Discord. The link has already been put in the comments there. We'll probably put it again. And hopefully you can join us again at some point. So Keith, thanks for hopping on.
And thank you for having me, and best of luck for everybody out there with teams, as long as you're not playing me.
There you go. And you liked Keith or maybe one of the other 2 guys on here, hit the like button, subscribe, and notifications so you know when we go live, which will be pretty much every single day of the football season, except for Friday nights. Need some pretense of a social life. We'll be there tomorrow night, so join us for that. And, of course, check out all the videos to help you win this coming week. All right, guys. Thanks.